For this particular movie, you might want to open your temperature app again. Now, if you have missed out your personal app, it would really work on everything. Like you can design a few single app by right now, or you can open up my file from the exercise files. Anyways, you simply should have an app that looks similar to the temperature app. Now, what I want to focus on this particular movie is something known as the first responder. Now, in the main storyboard, if I go out there, you can see there is a simple, if I drag it a little bit, notice that this is a view controller. This is the first responder. Now, first responder in the iOS development is again a beautiful concept. Now, it says that whenever the things are going to be in focus, I'll take that as a first responder. For example, if a person clicks on inside this text label or at this button, I'll just assume that there is only this text label, that is going to be my main point of focus at that time. If a person clicks on the button, my main focus is going to be on button. That is going to be the first responder. And this is a beautiful concept, but sometimes it tickles a little bit. Like for example, if I go into my viewcontroller.swift file again, notice we got nothing being changed, just a few lines being added that are just simply the comments. Now these comments are for those guys who are going to open up the app in the first file and see, hey, what extra is going on out here. Now they should understand by looking at the code that this code was added later in the movies. So let's just try to have that. Now I'm simply running the app. If the app was previously created, we haven't modified it. Now if you haven't done it by now, just click on the hardware. Make sure that your keyboard and the toggle keyboard is on. What it will do, if you click on this one, the text label, it will appear that your on-screen keyboard just appears on that, and you can simply click on that 23, 5, anything, and when you converts it, it just get converted. But there is a little bit problem. Our keyboard is not dismissing out. Now what we want to do in that case, that we want to make sure that keyboard simply disappears when I click on the convert, or maybe somewhere outside on the screen. It may be here, or anywhere out there. So this is our job. Now, of course, you could have simply done a research on the internet, but you don't have to because I'm there for you. So let's try to deal with them one by one. Now, in order to understand what is the first responder, this is going to be the best possible challenge for us. So how we can deal with that? Now, first of all, we need to understand that whenever a things become a first responder, in that case, it is simply that input box. We need to make sure that it resigns from being a first responder. Otherwise, things are not going to work. So how we can do that? Now, once we have done the conversion, I'll simply call the self dot, and I want to call the input box. I need to explicitly say that you need to resign from being a first responder. So I'll simply say that resign from being the first responder, and that's it. That's what we need to do. Really simple. And it can only be possible once you have the concept of the first responder. So I click on that, it appears, and I click any random number, click on the convert, and the keyboard disappears. Let's try that one more time. I bring it down, but if I click on anywhere out there, it is not possible. Now let me tell you what I used to do in that previous good days. I used to create a big button which covers up the entire screen, and if the user clicks on anywhere on the screen, inside that a button used to be pressed, and the same things happens like what it is doing in the convert. But that's not a good thing to do, and what we do right now is a little bit more simple. Let me get rid of this by stopping it. And I would like to add a couple of codes out here. So we can define a one more function, and this function is already built in the class which is being inherited here, that is UI view controller. So this is a member of this function, and you will notice that immediately if you have studied my Swift codes. So I'll simply say, I'll press a couple of things, like there it says touch begins. Now I like this one, the touch begins, and as I click on that, notice it says override, and what I told you about the overrides in the movie. Yes, we overrides the function when they are already being defined. We just want to have that. Now what I need to say here that once the user is not actually interested in the input box, because we don't have anything apart from the input box right now, I would like my code to go out here and save that, and that's it. Now it says that whenever the user touch anything else from the button as well, just make sure that it goes out. So if I run this, and in a moment it is going to pop here, and I click 2, 5, 6, convert, that goes. Okay, quite good. I would like to delete them. And let's say 541, and I'm not sure, so I'll click here. Okay, it goes, bringing back, and goes out there. So it works out there if I click anywhere else, like on the sun or anywhere. So this looks a bit more additional functionality. And I would say that again, you were only able to process this functionality because now you understand what is the concept of the first responder. But again, things are not done yet. We can additionally have other functionalities. Now I'll go to my main storyboard, and what I'll do, I'll like to click on this, bring my guy out here, and you will notice that if I click on the inspector element, and we got a lot of things, like there is a return key. It was used to be default, and when I click on let's say the done or the Yahoo send, let's just send the data. So okay, done. I'll save this. I'll play that again. And when my keyboard appears, now although it says it was a numpad, but you can have definitely other kinds of things. Now what you have to do, once the user press this guy, like 4, 5, 6, when the user press this guy, the keyboard should disappear. Right now it's a backspace, but we can have other kinds of default numpad. Let me stop that. And you can have the numpads, you can have the phone pad, or you can have the default one as well. Let's just say there's a default and there is a send data. So I'll save that, run that again. Make sure that you please play around with that, because without playing with that, you will not understand the entire Xcode. So notice there is a send button. So let's say a user is having this kind of input. Now, obviously the 3 is going to crash the app. We haven't dealt with that yet. And if I click on the send, now notice nothing is happening right now. I want you to make that when you click on this send button or any button out here in this place, make sure that it also converts on that. Can you do that? I am expecting a lot of people will not be able to do that. And in that case, don't worry, we will take care of all these things later on, but quite a fun. And make sure that you convert and play around with these settings. It's quite a good habit to play around when you are not watching the videos. Okay, so quite a fun movie so far. Now let's move ahead on to the next topic.